Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom.
We're on day 2 of The Mistake of a Lifetime. As you'll recall, we talked about a Japanese truck driver who discovered, or he didn't discover, he was contacted by some men who said, hey, guess what? We're your real brothers. And he then found out that he had grown up with his non-biological family. What had happened was he was switched at birth. You'll often see that phrase, to be switched at birth. He was switched at birth with another newborn when they were still in the hospital. He went on to sue the hospital for that huge mistake. They called it an unforgivable error in our article, and walked away with 32 million yen in his pocket as compensation.
Yes, indeed. And we're going to talk about this general problem here. It still exists.
Sure.
We're going to talk about a similar case in Russia and how it might actually happen to you. And hey, who knows? Maybe you are living with people who are not biologically related to you.
Like aliens, huh?
Yeah, I don't think this could have happened to me because I was born in a very small town. And I think my mother was probably the only woman giving birth in that hospital at the time. So it's probably not possible. But hey, maybe here in Taipei or Kaohsiung, they're big cities with big hospitals.
True.
Who knows? It could happen. So we'll talk about this particular problem in today's lesson. So let's get to it. Let's read the entire contents of our lesson right now. The Japanese man's situation is not actually as uncommon as one might think. A similar case happened in Russia in 2013, but the two girls involved were reunited with their real parents after 3 months. Studies have shown that in the U.S. alone, some 23,000 babies are switched in hospitals every year. Fortunately, most of these mistakes are corrected at once or before the babies leave the hospital. You might be wondering how such mistakes could be made. Most mix-ups happen when babies are transferred to and from their mothers, usually for a bath or medical treatment. In the U.S., there are 23 million of these transfers every year. Unfortunately, these days, with fewer people choosing to become a nurse, there are fewer nurses doing all that work. Plus, health professionals are only human, and humans make mistakes. To prevent such errors, hospitals throughout the world use an ID bracelet system to identify babies. When a baby is born, a bracelet bearing its details is made and strapped to its ankle. The mother gets one too, and the bracelets are compared when transfers are made. This is not a perfect system, however. The numbers can be misread, and the bracelets may fall off. To improve matters, some companies have developed high-tech bracelets that sound alarms when the mother's and the child's don't match. Some hospitals are also making sure parents have more bonding time with their babies. This means parents are more likely to detect if a mistake has been made. Hopefully, these methods will keep babies with their real families, and cases like that of the Japanese man will be a thing of the past.
So we found out that the Japanese man's situation really wasn't as uncommon as you might think. A similar case happened in Russia in 2013, but this time we're talking about 2 girls who were involved instead of 2 guys. The girls involved were reunited with their real parents after 3 months. I wonder how they discovered after 3 months that they had the wrong baby. We're going to talk about that. Anyway, if you're reunited, it means you were separated at one point and then found your way back together. There was a really famous song, Reunited, when I was like in, I don't know.
Yeah, I know the song you're thinking about. Reunited and it feels so good.
Yeah, it's an old song. So if you break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend and you get back together, you could say, oh, you know, we got back together, or you could say we reunited and we're getting along better now. So these two girls who were separated from their parents when they were born or separated at birth were then able to get back with their real parents after 3 months. They were the lucky ones.
Okay, so that was only a 3-month mistake. And studies or some research has shown, these studies have shown that in the U.S. alone, in the United States itself, some 23,000 babies are switched in hospitals every year. That's a lot there, 23,000 babies. And, of course, lots of people are born in the United States every year. It's a big country, of course. What is it now, 300 million or something like that? I don't know what the latest census says. But in any case, they're still having babies in the United States at hospitals all over the place. And these mistakes are inevitable. But this figure seems kind of high here.
Yeah.
23,000 babies, at least as an even number here. These babies are switched in hospitals every year. Boy, I hope they find out the mistakes there, huh?
Wait, you just said 23,000. 23,000 is an even number. Actually, we don't know if it's exactly 23,000 because look at the word right in front of the number some. That's 左右. So about, some. So it's around that figure. There are quite a few babies that are switched in hospitals every year.
Could be an odd number. There could be 3 babies involved. Family A's baby goes to Family B. Family B's baby goes to Family C. And Family C's baby goes to Family A. It could be, you know.
That would be weird. What they usually try to do, though, is as soon as the baby is born, they put a little tag around their foot that they can't get off easily.
I had one on my wrist. My baby picture shows it with me on my wrist. I think they switched it to the ankle probably because babies chew on their wrist or something. Might be a safety reason.
Yeah.
And they can't really get at their foot so much. But in any case here, some 23,000 babies, more or less, are switched in hospitals every year. But fortunately, most of these mistakes are corrected. So it's a good thing most of these mistakes are corrected at once. Somebody discovers, hey, that baby doesn't go over to Mrs. Johnson. It's supposed to go over there to Mrs. Smith there. Hey, don't send the baby to the wrong mother there. So they find these mistakes or they discover these mistakes right away. And this happens before the babies leave the hospital. But still, there are probably a few cases here and there that people don't notice.
Well, you might be wondering how these mistakes could even be made. It's kind of crazy to think that someone could go home with the wrong baby. Most mix-ups happen when babies are transferred to and from their mothers. Usually, they'll take care of the baby in an area called the nursery in a hospital, and the nurses will help watch them. And when the baby wants to eat, typically they'll then take that baby in a little baby cart to the mother's room. So the babies are actually in that nursery with lots of other babies at the same time. That's when these mix-ups happen. Notice here that mix up has a hyphen in the middle. It's not a verb phrase, mix up. This is a noun, mix up. So if you have a noun, you'll typically take that hyphen and put it in the middle. So mix-ups do happen when these babies are taken to and from their mothers. If you transfer something, guys, you take something from one place and you send it somewhere else. Maybe you've worked for a company and they call you into the office one day and they say, hey, we're going to transfer you to China. You're going to be working in our China office. And that means you're going to move from your place or your office here in Taiwan to China. So to transfer just means you move one thing from one place to another.
That's what it means, all right. And please notice here that we often use the preposition to or from, transferred to someplace or transferred from someplace, depending if you're coming or going. So here, these mix-ups happen when the babies are transferred to their mothers or back from their mothers, usually for a bath or medical treatment or something, or they're just taking them back to the nursery for a little bit of a nap or something like that. And in the U.S., the United States, there are 23 million of these transfers every year. The baby going back and forth between the mother and the nursery or for a bath or whatever.
Right. So, you know, things happen. And again, we just have to say the nurses in hospitals are very busy people. They do a lot of good, but sometimes mistakes are made. Hey, sometimes it's the family. It's their responsibility that the tag on their baby has come off. Maybe they accidentally took it off. Who knows? Well, unfortunately, unfortunately, these days, we've got fewer people who are choosing to become nurses as a career path. So there are fewer nurses doing all that work, especially here in Taiwan with our national healthcare system. There aren't that many nurses in the hospitals, which keeps costs down, but it makes it harder on families, I think. Now, we've got plus, here's another thing that's bad. Health professionals are only human. And of course, we're not robots and humans make mistakes. When you talk about someone being a professional in one type of career or another, it just means they've had training, they're good at what they do, and they're being paid rather than volunteering. It's a paid occupation or a paid career, a paid job.
And, of course, these professionals, even though they're smart and have had some pretty sophisticated training, they're still only human, and humans are born to make mistakes. It does happen from time to time. We are not computers. Of course, computers make mistakes all the time, don't they? Especially with new operating systems and stuff like that. Try to figure that out without wanting to throw the computer out of the window and say, I'm never going to use a computer again. But in any case here, yes, they're human. They do make mistakes from time to time, especially if nurses and doctors are working long hours and maybe they're just not fully awake and they're just not quite sure, hey, Mrs. Lee's baby is supposed to go over to Mrs. Zhang, or I just don't know. So yeah, they might make mistakes from time to time. So you might think that technology is going to step in here to solve our problems and indeed to prevent such errors, to stop such mistakes. Hospitals throughout the world use an ID bracelet system to identify babies.
Before we go on and explain that, though, guys, we're going to take a quick break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. 今天我们要看的是第二单元，我们继续来看这个一生的错误。提到呢，抱错小孩在医院里面，婴儿被交换了。日本的这个例子其实并不是唯一，他接下来就说到，在苏俄也有同样的例子。不过他这边就提到，受到牵连的这两个女孩呢，很幸运，因为3个月后就找到了真正的父母，跟父母团聚。不过这里注意一下句型哦 ，The two girls involved。我们晓得 involve， 它这个字就代表牵涉、牵连。当然，如果你呢说一个人他跟什么有关，牵涉到什么事情里，你会说 a person is involved in something with somebody。好，那我们现在看到这里的 involved， 它是一个过去分词。那其实如果真的要把它还原成句构比较清楚一点的话，就是 the two girls who were involved， 有牵扯到的，有牵连到的这两个女孩。然后我们直接把这个子句呢，把它简化，然后只剩下过去分词的 involved。好，来继续往下看，下面呢就说到，我们看到这样子的错误跟故事，一定会想，怎么有可能？好，看看 You might be wondering how such mistakes could be made。 句构上其实也很简单，因为你知道 wonder 纳闷，它后面呢是直接加一个子句当它的受词，表示你纳闷什么事。那这边这个子句就是用 how 开头，这样的错误怎么可能会有呢？那我们接下来就读到，大部分呢这种事情mix-ups， 也就是指小孩子报错了、换错了这样的事。这边的 mix-ups 你加了 s， 其实它当然是一个名词。那原来的动词片语，当你说把两个东西混淆在一起，你可以说 mix things up。但是我们把 mix 跟 up 这样的动词片语，然后用连字符号连在一起，这样也可以把它转换成一个名词的用法，而且它还可以有复数型，复数就加在 up 的后面。当然这种例子绝对不是唯一，我们常常会看到，比如说你在旁边观看的旁观者，你会说 onlookers， on 连字符号 lookers， 这也是一样的道理。接下来下面继续说了，大部分呢，如果小孩子换错，通常是因为小孩子要去洗澡或做医疗。 还有一个就是他提到，现在呢越来越少人要当护士了。这边提到了一个 with fewer people choosing to become a nurse。这个句型蛮重要的，因为我们常常会用 with 这个介系词，然后后面呢你接受词，然后接着再接补语。当然这就表示在交代一个情况，在交代一个事情的样貌或状况或情形。所以在这样的情况之下， fewer people choosing to become a nurse， 大家越来越不想当护士，然后呢也越来越少的护士呢做这种移交婴儿的工作了。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hopefully no one will switch us. Right, Tom? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, let's continue with our lesson for today. Again, we're talking about errors or mistakes that happen in hospitals, especially when they involve babies who are switched in hospitals. Now, of course, to prevent or stop such errors, hospitals all over the world use this ID bracelet system to identify babies. Okay, ID is short for identification. I think most of you already know that. If you want to buy alcoholic beverages in the United States, in some places you need to be 21. But if you look kind of young, they might say, may I see your ID, please? May I see your identification to prove your age? Well, here they're using this bracelet system. A bracelet, of course, is something that you wear on your wrist. And it's a system of bracelets that babies have, or that hospitals use for babies because they want to identify the babies. If you identify something, you basically are able to tell who or what that thing is.
Maybe you were a witness to a crime and the police bring you into the police station and ask you if you can identify some people that they suspect committed that crime. So that's one way we use that verb. Here, they just use these bracelets to help tell what baby belongs to which parent or, like that. So when a baby's born, a bracelet, usually it's got a piece of paper and it's wrapped in sort of plastic that they can put around the baby's foot these days. Or maybe an arm. It could be an arm too. A bracelet has this ID on it. So it says a bracelet bearing its details is made and strapped to its ankle. So even though a bracelet usually goes around the wrist, we're calling this a bracelet, although it goes around their ankles. When something bears details, it just means it has those things on it. You can see it. So it's part of that bracelet.
It certainly is. So it has all that information on there, the details, the mother's name, maybe the father's name, the date of birth, stuff like that.
How long the baby is, maybe how much the baby weighs. Sometimes you see that.
Stuff like that. And it's also strapped to the ankle. Strap here as a verb just means it's affixed to something. It's attached to something, usually with some sort of fastener. And the mother gets one too, so they have matching bracelets here. And the bracelets are compared when transfers are made. If you compare something, that means you take two or more things and sort of kind of figure out exactly how they are the same and how they are different. So you might want to compare, say, brothers, maybe. Well, he's athletic and the other brother's kind of smart and not so athletic. So we're comparing the two, finding out how they are different and how they are the same.
Unfortunately, though, the system that they're using isn't just, perfect. No system is perfect, typically. The numbers can be misread. If you misread something, that's the present tense of this verb to misread. Misread is the past tense. They're spelled the same, so be careful. If you misread something, it means it might be a 6, but you think it's a 9, or it might be a 7, but it's a 1. I would think, though, nowadays, Tom, they have a scanner code on them that they can scan. And sometimes, of course, I mentioned this earlier, here, the bracelets can fall off.
Yep.
Those little newborns can move their legs very fast sometimes. And sometimes it just falls off. Maybe their ankle is so tiny and the bracelet's too big and it just kind of slips off that way. So if something falls off, it no longer is on the thing that you put it on to fall off. I fell off the sidewalk a couple weeks ago, which was kind of stupid, and hurt myself. Or maybe you've been on a horse before and you fell off the horse. If you're learning how to ride a bike, sometimes we fall off our bikes too.
It can happen sometimes. So yes, these bracelets might fall off. Sometimes babies are naughty and they kind of squeeze their wrists together so the bracelet can come off. Or maybe babies kind of are being naughty and one baby says to the other, hey, let's play a trick on these nurses and switch bracelets and see what they do.
Oh, so these newborns can talk, right?
Well, sometimes they're pretty smart because they just reincarnated from a previous life or
dear.
something. You never know. But in any case here, yes, the bracelets may fall off. They might fall off. You could also say. And to improve matters or to improve the situation, some companies have developed high-tech bracelets. There you go. Here comes technology to the rescue. These bracelets will sound alarms when the mother's and the child's don't match. Here the word sound is being used as a verb. That just means to make something start making sound, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a fire. Sound the alarm. Turn on the alarm. That's, of course, an example. There's no fire, at least not as far as I know. But in any case here, yes, they sound alarms. And an alarm, of course, is some kind of bell or large sound that lets you know that there's something unusual going on. It could be a fire alarm, or it could be simply your alarm clock reminding you to wake up and start getting ready for the day.
Yeah, we typically, though, wouldn't use that phrase to sound the alarm to talk about our alarm clocks. So most of us have to get up by using an alarm clock. I do. So the alarm is just a warning system. It's a warning sound that lets you know that something is ready. For example, if I cook, I set an alarm or a timer, I could say, and it goes off and makes that noise when the food that I'm cooking is ready to take out of the oven. So this alarm will go off when the mother's and the child's bracelets don't match. So that tells the nurses there that there's a problem.
Wrong baby.
Yeah.
You brought the wrong baby to the wrong mother. You better correct your mistake. So that's how high technology can help prevent this from happening. And some hospitals are also making sure parents have more bonding time with their babies. Okay, so they want to make sure this happens. Parents need to have some bonding time. Bonding here means things are coming together in close contact. Okay, we do talk about, say, bonding time when, say, maybe the father and the son don't really know each other very well. So maybe they're going to take a trip together or go see a baseball to have some bonding time, to sort of chat with each other and to get to know each other a little better.
Yeah, bonding time is good for parents and their children. Sometimes life gets kind of busy, so you need to take some extra time to bond with your kids. So this means parents are more likely to detect if a mistake has been made. If you detect something, you sense that something is wrong. This comes from that noun detective, a person who discovers clues or evidence of some sort of crime or wrongdoing. But if you detect, it also just means you discover, identify the existence of something or the presence of something. Most of us have alarms in our homes that can detect smoke. If there's a fire in your apartment, and that alarm will sound this or have this really high sound to wake you up if that smoke alarm detects smoke. So the parents are more likely to see or discover there's a problem, detect a mistake this way. Hopefully, these new, more high-tech methods will keep babies with their real families, and cases like that of the Japanese truck driver will be a thing of the past. If something's a thing of the past, it means it's no longer happening in our world today. Wouldn't that be nice? But unfortunately, I think as human beings, we're always going to find some mistakes that happen, and we just hope to reduce the number of errors that happen, especially when we're talking about switching babies at birth.
Yeah, think about it. Wouldn't it be nice if cancer were a thing of the past?
Oh, yeah.
And no one would have to suffer from that, etc. So, yeah, you'd think the mother would know that it's her own baby, but, babies all kind of look alike, and maybe even mothers sometimes don't know if it's really their baby or not. So maybe these methods, the bracelet system or the high-tech alarm system, maybe those can help, and the bonding thing might help too. Let the mother know exactly what the baby looks and smells like and stuff like that, so these mistakes won't happen ever again. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
那我们继续来看，提到这个错误，这样子把小孩子交换了，弄错了。那为了要防止这种错误发生，当然是有办法的。好，不过你说为了要防止，在英文里面你会用一个 to 不定词的 to 再加动词，那放在句首其实就相当于 in order to. So to prevent such errors, 这里就是指为了要避免这样的过失，他们会有一种手环系统来辨认小孩子。可是呢，这样子就不会弄错了吗？其实他说不一定哦，有时候手环会掉，然后呢，有时候呢，在移交的过程里面，还是数字也会被弄错了。所以接下来他又用到了一个 to improve matters， 这跟前面一样，这是一个不定词的 to 表示目的。那为了要改善这样的问题，所以呢，现在有另外的高科技的手环。那我们看一下这些高科技的手环，他说怎么做啊？他会 sound alarms when the mothers and the childs do not match。这个 sound， 我们知道 sound 一般都当名词，代表声音。可是这里很明显，它是动词 sound alarms， 这个意思就表示发出警报声。有时候你说在车子里面你要按喇叭，其实你也可以用 sound horn， 所以记得它是有动词的用法的。接下来呢，他说到呢，假如有错误的话，父母可以察觉得到，因为现在医院会让小孩和父母待比较久的时间来培养感情。你说这种培养感情，你可以用 bonding time with their babies。好，当然这种 bonding 是指让两双方结合在一起，这也就相当于培养感情了。最后再来看一句啊，最后这里呢，他说到了种种的方法啊，很希望说这些小孩可以不要被报错，让这个日本男士的案子不再发生。所以他说到 cases like that of the Japanese man will be a thing of the past。 好，看到这个 that 其实它也是它是一个指称代名词。当你前后两个东西在对照说法的时候，如果你要提到前面的那个说法名词片语里的一部分，同一个名词，你可以用 that。 像这里其实 that 就是指 the case。 我们今天节目就到此结束，下次见。
Okay, that's the end of our lesson for today, everybody. It's a fascinating story about the truck driver in Japan. Hopefully, none of you got switched when you were a baby and you're growing up with the wrong parents. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.